We're going to get started. Thank you all for staying in here for a little bit. This is the panel on Scorecard and some of the higher ed organizations that have participated. We're excited to be able to share with you about some of the work they've been doing. And feel free to come closer if you want, if you would like, move forward. First, I'm Cory Williams, Executive Director of Sustainable Tulsa, and I'm going to introduce kind of what the scorecard is, and then our participants, our panelists, will then share with you their experience in that from a facility standpoint, from administration, as well as student experience. So you're in for a treat about their journey and what they've learned and the challenges they've experienced. So with Sustainable Tulsa and with the scorecard, and the scorecard is our triple bottom line strategy we've been sharing, much like Aishi's been doing. It was really fun to kind of hear what Megan had to say. There's definitely some overlap in themes and goals, and it's wonderful to see the work and success that they're having. And we're doing a bit of that right here, so we're excited to share that with you. So Sustainable Tulsa, we got started in 2003 just bringing people together to talk about sustainability. And over time, we've grown from coffee shops to now we're here at TCC for our First Thursday program that we have, and we appreciate TCC's support in that. And then in 2012, we started to look at a business program, and that's where we started to talk with business leaders and higher ed leaders to find out, what their interests were. And then they came back to us and said, well, what about, how do I know that I'm sustainable? Is there an audit, an opportunity out there? So we ended up developing that audit, and it came up with a scorecard. And at the time, for the students in the room, I had an intern, Sarah Hicks, and she's in the room, so wave, Sarah, she's in the back over there. Sarah was my intern from TU. She helped us create our first scorecard, and then we luckily were able to hire her back to run the scorecard program for us. So it's a good story, and it was a great experience, and we're really thrilled that she's back on the team. But we're now into our third year of the scorecard program. But before I get in depth with that, I want to just share with you about kind of who we are and how you can engage with us after this conference. So we have multiple programs that we do, which is First Thursdays, which I mentioned are in this room. Our last First Thursday was about single-use plastics, and those are recorded as well as live streamed, and they're the first Thursday of every month from 12 to 1 is the program. And it was all, again, it was on single-use plastics. We heard her talk about, Megan talk about the impacts to the ocean. There were 160 people in this room interested in that topic, and that was very inspiring to see that interest. That we'll continue on with those programs. We have Monarch Initiative and our Business Council. The other program, as I mentioned, First Thursdays, our next one, and our average is 90, so that was quite a bump in interest around single-use plastics. And it wasn't just people like yourself, but it was also business leaders as well, looking to see what their role is in that conversation. That was really good to see that and their interest in that. Our next one will actually be at the library just up the way, and it'll be on food waste, and actually we'll have Full Sun Composting presenting on that. Should be very interesting, kind of what some of the challenges are with that and opportunities. So please join us. They're free and open to the public. We order lunch. You order lunch if you want it delivered, and just join us, but you're not required to order lunch, so it's free and open to the public. And if you're interested, see Sarah at our booth, and she can get you signed up to receive those invites. The other thing that we do is the Monarch Initiative, and we're working with other educational organizations like the Garden Center and the zoo to talk about the importance of education around monarch education. And that's about the decline of that particular species. And this species is an indicator for other challenges of other pollinators. And it's very important that we share this similar information. The Met is also, I saw them here today, they're also a member of the Monarch Initiative of Tulsa, but it's a great way to learn about what we can do as an organization around, or as a community around protecting this habitat and planting more of it. And actually you can get a point in our scorecard for planting monarch habitat. The other item that we do is our business program, and this is kind of where the launch of our scorecard came out of this business case, the B2B case for sustainability series, the business to business. And this is where we have a panel of experts come and visit on a topic. Our next one is tomorrow. If you're interested in going and not already a business member, come see me or Sarah, and we'll try to get you registered. I think we still have openings, but do come see us or see if you can register online as well. But our focus will be employee engagement, and I heard Megan talk about this morning as well about how you have to create this culture in order to maintain these systems and ideas. And so we'll be talking with the manufacturing community about their path to employee engagement and the importance of that. It's going to be a really interesting panel, so I encourage you to join us if you just didn't get enough. Like Mike said, if you didn't get enough by the end of the day, need more sustainability in your life, join us tomorrow. We'll be at ORU, which David King represents, and they have done some amazing things and have a chance to tour some things over there as well. So the scorecard, this was a program that launched out of this conversation with our business members saying, well, how do we know if we're sustainable? And how do we measure that? So we worked with professionals and supporters to help us develop that. These are our sponsors of the scorecard. And they have helped us move the needle on our program and continue to support us in that effort. The scorecard itself has 4 different components. It has the online tool, the portal for our business members. We train volunteer coaches, and Sarah manages this program for us, and she'll actually be presenting this afternoon where we're working with high school students with this program. But we also train our coaches, these volunteer coaches that come together and learn about sustainability and then are the point of contact for our businesses. We also have workshops and ongoing training around sustainability, and then we also acknowledge the successes. And I heard that this morning as well, that we have to acknowledge each little step that a company, an institution is making, because those need to be celebrated, because they build on the next thing that's happening. And so that is a big component of what we do. Over the course of this program, we're now into our 3rd year, we've had 80+ professionals within the areas of the scorecard that have come together to help us develop this. And this development came out of this hope that our community would be more sustainable. And we're very humbled by the amount of hours and commitment to the quality of this scorecard. The scorecard is really about that triple bottom line of people, profit, and planet. And the way that we discuss people, profit, and planet in regards to the scorecard that resonates with the business community is that employee retention. And we heard that also this morning, that more and more employees are wanting to work or go to school or work in institutions that are promoting and acting on sustainability. And that is an employee retention piece that's also a bottom line savings. It costs so much. Turnover is so expensive to an organization, to a company, and you lose so much time as well as funding for those positions. So retaining quality employees and keeping them engaged is very key. And of course, we're offering bottom line savings, and we're going to hear from David specifically about some of the ways they have really saved by looking at their resources. And that's the third one, the planet piece, the waste reduction specifically is when we're reducing waste and we're cutting back on excessive use of natural resources, we're also finding a way that it circles back to that bottom line savings. But we do other things like composting which is a waste reduction actually piece, but Monarch Initiative and things like that to engage our members. And it's really fun because some of our larger corporations, they're saving $500,000, but they'll run up to me at the end of a meeting and say, hey, we just put in our Monarch Waste Station. And they're really excited to celebrate those wins as well, which we love to see that. So the tool itself has 7 categories, and these are the areas that all of our members are looking at. That's communication promotion, community stewardship, healthy work environment, material management, that's your reduce, reuse, recycle, transportation, energy, and water. And these items, there are 150 items spread throughout these 7 categories. And what we did is our professionals that came together, advisors that helped us develop this, said, really that's overwhelming. We need to kind of give them a start. Where did they get started? And it's the cornerstones. And we came up with 4 cornerstones. And in those cornerstones, we took those 153 items and we said, start with these 13. And then our trained coaches help guide our businesses through that process. So it's really about creating that culture through, and cornerstone one of communication and promotion, of having a company statement that guides your organization, having a cross-functional team. You need a team that represents different entities of your organization to be on that team for just education purposes when it comes to what's going on in each department, but also you just have a more creative opportunity when you have diverse people on your team. And then internally communicating. If the goal is for your organization or business to be sustainable, you're going to be telling everybody about that. But internally, you need those ambassadors. You need those that are really living and promoting that and making it happen within your organization. So very key to creating that vision and focus. Benchmarking, that is knowing what you have to be able to measure. You can't manage it if you don't measure it. So you've got to benchmark. Material management, that's the third cornerstone. That's the reduce, reuse, recycle. That's that tangible opportunity to see those successes and to really think through, do I need this? Do I need to buy it in the first place? If I have it, how can I reuse it? And if I have used the end of its life, where can I recycle it? And if I can't, then I need to go back to the beginning and say, maybe I don't need this anymore. I need something else. And so we're asking organizations to look at that. We do that in our own personal lives, but asking organizations to do that collectively. And we've heard amazing success stories. We had one large manufacturer that decided to do that and transitioned over $500,000 worth that they saved from trash to recycling streams. So they took it out of the trash, they put it in recycling streams, and saved $500,000. And if they hadn't started that day, they started a year from now, then that was a wasted $500,000. Or you look back the other way, it's how many years did they waste that $500,000? It's a lot of money. And that can be reinvested. And as Megan mentioned this morning, you get a win and you build on that win and there's another opportunity. So very important and also challenging. I mean, recycling has been around forever. It seems to be the first kind of concept that people think about when it comes to sustainability, but it's really kind of a challenge because it takes everyone to do it and to do it well, because you get materials can be overlapped where they don't recycle well together. So anyway, big deal. The fourth one is our healthy work environment and community stewardship. This is the individual component of the scorecard, the quality of life piece. It's indoor air quality, it's health and wellness, and it's also acting outside your walls, community stewardship. So very important components when it comes to how to get an organization started. So we also, because we required the benchmarking in our portal, we determined that we needed to make that easier for our organization. So we partnered with THG. Chad Burden is in the back. He's waving. He's with THG, and THG is our partner. They essentially do this every day, all day, 50 states. They're located here, so we're excited to be able to partner with them. But they did what they call white labeling, which is they put our logo on their product for us. So when our members come into our portal, they see that there is a benchmarking portal that's available. And it's a great way to track your resources. Tracking those real-time, weatherized, and to be able to have those analyzed for you is really important to be able to identify what are some other potential next steps. PSO, the electricity provider here in this area, loves what we're doing so much that they will pay the first 20 meters for our organizations to get them started on benchmarking and finding ways to cut back. So Tulsa Zoo is one of those great examples of an organization that had never benchmarked, and they decided, okay, we need to know where these meters go and what's responsible for what. So they started that, worked with THG, initially found a $13,000 savings, a cracked valve, a sea lion pool that was being drained and it didn't need to be, and that was $13,000. The cracked valve was fixed in 24 hours, and that's the reason that was happening. If you have a campus or an organization that's using lots of water, guaranteed you have a leak. So it's finding those and fixing those. And I think ORU as well found a $10,000 leak just by benchmarking. And so there's these great opportunities. But over time, because the zoo is a nonprofit, they found they were paying tariffs they weren't supposed to pay. They were paying for street lights way out south they weren't supposed to be paying. Was it connected to their bill? So they cleaned all that up. And that's $57,000 if they hadn't started that. That's $57,000 that gets reinvested, employee, another little mercat or whatever they're looking to bring into their zoo. So, or beautiful, I know we have a botany class here, so lots of gorgeous new plants to teach and things like that. So that's the key to benchmarking, knowing your resources and the ability to manage it well so you can reinvest it in the things you really want to do rather than just throwing money around, or if you visualize it as water, just waste, being used that's unnecessary. Our members, they are graded on a scale. It's a binary system, so it's 1 point per item, and we have a very robust verification process. And some of the same advisors that helped us develop the scorecard are also part of that verification. And these are the levels. And we encourage you get all those cornerstones done first. That gets you to the bronze level. In our first year, we had 31 companies we verified in the Tulsa area, and they accomplished almost 900 action items towards sustainability in those 7 categories that we shared. And we're going to hear more in depth some of the actions that came out of those activities. And then in 2018, we had 34 companies, but you see there was a huge bump in the number of items that they were verified for, over 1,300 items. And what we saw is as companies get started, they're first trying to identify, okay, well, do we have a company statement? And we need a team. It's not just this one person that's doing this work. We need a team. And that first year is kind of figuring out what they're doing. And then the second year, they're really enjoying some of those successes and starting to act on them. And that's a trend that we're seeing. These are the kind of things that we're hearing locally and nationally. We heard maybe some of those things this morning as well. What businesses are looking for, or you have been given the directive at your organization or in your project. These are the things you have to address with your sustainability efforts. And it may be all or a couple of these that really jump out at you. But definitely from the student experience and what we heard about the dandelions this morning, transparency is really important. And that's one that I think would resonate with the students as well. But in those 2 years, they have reported a very conservative number, we believe, is $2.5 million they saved by being sustainable. So there's this, thought that being sustainable costs more money, but really it can save you money. And it's being innovative, being creative, and putting on that lens that just kind of barely lets you look a little differently at what you're seeing and saying, I can do this better. And this is how I'm going to do it, and then you save $500,000. So these are some of the things we're seeing. We actually received a grant to actually capture more of the data and collect the results for the businesses, as well as collectively how much money, how many pounds, how much employee engagement is really happening around these items so that we can have a better dialogue with our business members and our community. And it unites all these departments. I saw a head bob when I was talking about learning about having cross-functional teams. It's like you find out what's going on, and it unites a team around this concept of sustainability. Time and time again, we've seen once a scorecard, our program is started, what we see is then all of a sudden these people are coming out of the woodwork at these companies. They're like, yes, I've been wanting to compost. I compost at home. This is exciting. And so they run to full sun composting and they say, compost for us. So it's wonderful to see those kind of success stories happening. These are our members right now. So we verified 34 last year. We have 56 and counting that are joining us this year. And you'll see on this list that it's large to small businesses, higher ed, also government entities. Muskogee Creek Nation joined us last year. I know there was a question about working with the tribes, and nonprofits. And it's wonderful to work with such a diverse group of companies and entities and organizations because you learn something from each one. And we have these work days where we just recently had where businesses come to work on their scorecards, and a whole bunch of businesses are together. And out of that, Sarah and I are so excited about this. I Love Salon and Day Spa really wanted to have a Monarch way station. They talked to Rick from the zoo, and bada bing, bada boom, they're going to have one at Utica Square. So that's a big deal. If you've ever been to Utica Square, it's very tightly manicured and beautiful, but I am excited to know that they're going to add a Monarch Waste Station there. So little wins like that can happen, but it starts to have that organization at Utica Square start to think, well, what are some other things we might be able to do? This was a win for us. So. And this afternoon, I want to go back to that. Actually, this afternoon, Sarah will be leading a panel. We're working with high school students from 3 high schools in the area, Union, Booker T. Washington, and the Met Alternative School. And it's Scorecard in the Schools pilot we just launched, and we're seeing some great successes there. So join us this afternoon there if you're interested to kind of follow the Scorecard journey. Another really great example that we've seen with the Scorecard is companies are asked, we heard this yesterday in a presentation, I had an RFP, I had to respond to it, and it asked about my sustainability. So students learning about what this means to be in these organizations, helping with these RFPs or responding to an RFP is important. These companies adding this to their systems, they won the RFP, and this was at Spirit Air Systems, and I saw some representatives from there today here. They won the RFP. They immediately saved $200,000 by re-looking at their resources, and this was solid waste, energy, and water. And then over an 18-month period, they realized they saved $1 million. So that $2.5 million was a couple of the big ones, but we know that's because they told us about their savings. This was really important for them, and they've continued on, and they keep growing. And so that's just another thing we're seeing is the ability to respond to RFPs. If you are part of an organization or just want to, as Mike mentioned, get more engaged, come to our B2B tomorrow. Come see Sarah and I, and we'll make sure you're registered to be able to continue this conversation at ORU. So thank you. Again, I'm Cory with Sustainable Tulsa, the director, and Sarah Hicks is over there at our booth. She's our scorecard coordinator, so if you have further questions about it. I just wanted to give you that kind of review of what the scorecard is, and then we're going to hear from 3 of our higher ed members that some of the successes that they're seeing. And first we're going to hear from David King with ORU. So I'm going to get his right here. And all right, David, why don't you join up here and let's hear what you have. Let's welcome David King. You can use the clicker or here, either way.
Okay. Hi, I'm David King. I'm Director of Energy Management for Oral Roberts University and CityPlex Towers. CityPlex Towers is owned by Oral Roberts University. It is a for-profit commercial building, and it's kind of, we call it, or look at it as an endowment for ORU. The more energy and savings we can do there, it goes across the street to the university. I started with Oral Roberts University in 2010 as the operations manager for CityPlex Towers, and when I stepped into that building, I actually felt like I stepped back into the 80s. The building was built or finished in the early 80s, and it was designed as a hospital. Oral Roberts, God told him to cure cancer out of that facility. Over the years, it had changed purposes, and it became an office building. There is a fully functional hospital that takes over 300,000 square feet of that facility, but the most part of the building had changed its purpose, but not as far as the operations. We had equipment running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that would have needed to be if it was a fully hospital, but as an office building, it wasn't needed. So there was a lot of energy waste going on. And it's funny to talk about energy waste, and then when you cut that, it's called savings, but I still look at it as we quit wasting money instead of saving money. But anyhow, on these slides here, kind of some statistics as far as commercial buildings. There's $200 billion energy waste per year. 34% of the greenhouse gases are caused by commercial buildings. 30 to 50% of commercial buildings has opportunities of saving energy, and the commercial energy usage is broke down as far as how you use or waste energy, whether it's in the HVAC, the air conditioning, lighting, water heating, and other equipment. Let's see. Here's some quotes that that actually you need to know in operations, as far as you can't improve what you don't control. You can't control what you don't measure. You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. And that is very true as far as when I started there at Cityplex Towers. We'd get a utility bill once a month, and so you were really looking in the rearview mirror as far as how you did with your energy and such. One of the things that was very beneficial was the scorecard. You need tools to be able to do your job right, and one of the main tools is the scorecard that we use today. And because of the multiple sections in there, it fits real well with commercial buildings and universities and such, and we use it to see how well we're doing, and it gives us the creativity. There's information in there that you don't think about, and then when you go through it, there's resources available, and so it's one of the tools that we use to be able to do our job. I should have clicked on that earlier. The scorecard is the main tool that we use. Another tool that was very helpful is for our energy consumption. We needed to know how we were doing, not look back when we get the bill 30 days later. So we put in a system that gives us real-time consumption. If you look, you'll see where it says cost per hour, estimated KW consumption. Having information like this and providing it to the maintenance staff, the engineers in the plant and such, that gives them the capability of being able to control the air conditioning and the waste of utilities and such. Another one is we can have one water meter for Cityplex Towers, but we break it down to 7 different locations as far as where that water is being used. And it helps us understand if we have a problem, and it's been very beneficial over the years, from leaky pipes to toilets that will continually run, and these meters will actually show that up. We're still to the point that we have a lot of data that we're monitoring, but we want to even get deeper into more analytics so that it flags us when we have problems. Right now we have the capability of seeing it, but it takes time for us to watch these meters and such and be able to catch that. But it is definitely a very helpful tool and resource to be able to save energy. One of the other things that we did at Cityplex Towers is we went for the Energy Star certification. You have to score a 75 to be eligible to be certified. We did it because we had a government tenant that was coming to our building, and they require it. We crossed our fingers and we hoped that we would be able to score a 75. And for 4 years straight, we've averaged a score of 93. So it's been very helpful. THG Energy is helped us do the certification on this, and we use them also for all of our utility bills to review them as well. Chad. After being part of Tulsa Sustainability, we put this project together just because it was the right thing to do in a way. Air conditioning, there's a lot of condensation that comes off of an air conditioning. Cityplex Towers is 2.4 million square feet. There's over 300 large air handlers that serve the air conditioning for the building. And with air conditioning, you have condensation. Condensation is just the air or the water that comes out of the air during the summer months when the humidity's high. Up until 2015, that water was put back into the sewer system, and we decided that we wanted to capture that and repurpose it. So we actually have 6 different collection tanks that we're able to collect about 75 to 80% of the building. There's some areas that we have not been able to get tanks in place and pump it back to where we need it, mainly due to the distance, but for the most part we are collecting it, and as you can see some of these numbers, to date we've collected over 5 million gallons, and condensate water is good for putting back into the cooling tower system because it's free of minerals. It's just pure water coming out of the air. The temperature of the water is cool, so that's beneficial as well. When the building was built, it was designed for 777 hospital beds, and with that design, there'd be a lot of showers and use of hot water. So the big tanks here on the left are 10,000 gallon storage tanks for hot water, for being able to take showers. The purpose today is we don't house near as many patients. They do a lot of surgeries per day, but most of them are outpatient surgeries, and so we had no need of storing that much water, which has issues as well. I mean, the waste of energy when you're trying to store that, you're going to lose a lot of heat. So we put in a instantaneous hot water system that we make our hot water when it's needed, and we don't store it, which saves energy or stops waste. Having a tower that's 60 stories is 650 feet in the air. You have to get your water to the 60th floor, and we do that with pumps. And the pump on the left is a 70-horse domestic water pump, 2-stage, that ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep the pressure to boost it to another set of pumps that was on the 30th floor that take it onto the 60th floor. Well, the water consumption today with, we've changed a lot of our toilets and faucets and different things to low flow. We use a lot less flow than what the building was designed for. We were able to take that 70 horse, and there was actually 3 of these pumps for redundancies. We removed one of them and put in 2 3-horse pumps with 10-stage impellers that are able to still boost that pressure and flow a minimal amount of water, but it serves our need 95% of the time. So it's very rare that we have to go back to the 70 horse. So basically we turned off a 70 horse and we're supplying it with 3 horsepower. So we stopped waste. The building was designed with older pneumatic controls, which is done but with air pressure. So you had to compress air and send it throughout the building to open and close valves for air conditioning and ductwork and such. It's kind of a dying art. People don't understand how to calibrate these older controls and such. So we were able to start replacing these on the 310 air handlers, and we went with a very user-friendly standalone controller that will replace the pneumatics, and we use electric valves. They have reset controls on them, so if the temperature on the floor is closer to comfort, then we're not providing as much cooling or heating. And as you get away from your comfort zone, the valves will open and provide more cooling. In the last 10 years, and this is actually a little bit longer than I've been there, but as you can see on electric, water, and natural gas, the trend of our monthly usage has continually dropped. And natural gas, we've actually lowered our annual consumption by 71%. And you know, a lot of people will say that was savings. That was stopping waste. We were wasting that. We did not need that, and so we were able to stop the waste. Water consumption, now that we monitor it, we know where it's going, we are able to control our usage. And again, on electric as well. Electric was around 51%, so we've actually dropped our consumption by half over that period of time. So, anyway.
Thank you. Speak first. Do you want to play the video first, though? Okay. Okay. Thank you, David. We're now going to see a video about TCC. They won the Bellman Award with Sustainable Tulsa this last year, and so here
Bellman Award winner in the large business category for achievements toward their triple bottom line: people, profit, planet, through the Scorecard, the region's first business sustainability tracking and assessment tool. Here is their story.
Sustainability is important to all of our campuses. We have almost 2 million indoor square feet of space that we have to maintain across the college. In terms of how we got to this point, I think it's just been sort of a culmination of the awareness that was already here inside of TCC and the importance that our students place on sustainability. We're really excited to serve both our students and our team members. When you talk about the scorecard that we participated in, which talks about people, profit, and planet, stewardship really matches up well with those. And you think about people and keeping people engaged, making sure they understand what we're doing and communicating and building a community around that. And so we're really stewarding our community. And then, of course, from a profit standpoint, we've been able to save $1.2 million over the last 2 years, which is certainly something that any community member can relate to. And it puts a specific number to the efforts that we've been able to maintain here.
We do things like require our janitorial staff, which is outsourced. In that contract, we require them to use environmentally friendly cleaning supplies. As we replaced infrastructure, as we replaced chilling towers and HVAC systems, we also implemented environmental control monitoring software. I would love to have that everywhere in the college. We have it in strategic locations across the college now. We're better able to control temperatures in specific zones or areas of a campus. And so it's in the middle of the summer, or if it's an off-peak period in the winter, we don't have to keep it as hot or cool in the entire campus. We'll keep it the right temperature where our students and employees are. But if we have a classroom, we don't have to spend as much money heating and cooling that space because of that software. And that software really tracks through its series of sensors around the campus what the temperature is, where there might be waste. We match that with utilization. When we do things like invest in replacing light bulbs or light fixtures and replace them with more efficient LED lighting, it makes a big impact. And it makes an impact both from a profit perspective, from a planet and from a people perspective, because of course those parking lots, those office areas and student areas are lit better. It's a better place to be. And in the parking lots especially, there's a safety component because our faculty, staff, and students walk to and from at night. And so a well-lit parking lot is a safer parking lot.
You know, I think this is a really important thing, particularly for our students to be aware of, because sustainability is not this sort of isolated thing, but this is essential part of really every business, every industry, every organization. One of our activities is the Tree Campus USA program, and that actually requires student participation. And of course, you know, at a two-year institution, we have a lot of transition and turnover of our student population, but we've had a number of students who were very willing, came to meetings, had input. We've had students who were involved in campus research on tree populations on the campus. They've done presentations on their research. They presented at a national conference last year.
It also touches on the community engagement piece, which we really focus on here at Tulsa Community College. You may know that one of our largest scholarship programs, Tulsa Achieve, requires 40 hours of community service every year that you receive that. In addition to that, many of our courses have a service learning component. It talks about how can you benefit your community through your own service. And sustainability is absolutely a path that is a way for an individual to contribute to their community. It really engages our community, which makes us a better educational organization. It helps save money, which makes it so we can take those dollars and put them back into the classroom. And then it helps save the resources that we use, because one of our largest assets, aside from our people, our largest asset are oftentimes the real estate that we have to maintain and own. In order to do that, we have to continue to have these resources. My hope is that TCC can serve as a role model, that it can be done, and it brings a different kind of energy.
All right. Uh-oh, how do I do that? Okay. Uh-oh, there we go. Okay.
Thank you, Cory. We're still morning, right? Good morning. I don't have a PowerPoint, but it doesn't make it any less official, so don't hold that against me, please. I'm Mike Lemus. I'm a 34-year employee of Tulsa Community College. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it really is true. I can't deny that. And the college is almost 50 years old. The last original left the college about 1.5 years ago after serving about 47 years. She was age 94. I'm not going to stick around that long. But anyway, the originals did more than lay the foundation for the buildings and set the stage for things to come. They established what I would call our organizational culture. And I'm going to talk briefly about how you might be able to leverage the features of organizational culture into initiatives like sustainability. So when I talk about culture, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about those myths, those values, espoused values, and shared assumptions that all employees have, particularly the founding group of employees. And we had a really outstanding group, great founding president, great group of faculty who were hung in there for 25, 30 years. And they really set the tone for the success of the college and what later generations of employees can actually get accomplished, including people like myself, people like the group that formed the steering committee today to organize this meeting. So when we talk about myths, we tend to think of myths as being not entirely true. Sometimes we question myths as to their origins, but they do serve value. And in some cases, they end up being true. And I think for TCC, a lot of the myths that generations of employees pass down in an oral tradition, one generation after another, are largely true. For example, we are practical. We we use what's at hand, and we make good with it. That is one myth that's been handed down from generation to generation, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. So, for example, in our initial hiring of full-time faculty, now I know some of the students you probably find this a little bit boring, but tuck it away, because you might at some point, when you work for an organization, you might think, oh, what did he say that day? Some organizational culture, important, how you can leverage that. That might be important to you someday. So I want to keep you in the game for a couple minutes, okay? I won't be long on this part of it. So when we first hired faculty, where did we go? We didn't go to the surrounding universities. We went to local high schools. Why? Because it was a built-in recruitment mechanism. We got students from every high school in Tulsa County because we hired faces and names that these students knew. So, and we built an immediate enrollment. So that's the practical part. We were business, we had a myth of being business-oriented. For example, we received an acre of land downtown. Not a big deal, right? Well, guess what it became? The BOK Tower, not the center, not the event center, but the BOK Tower right down the street. And our founding fathers leveraged that into 80 acres of land in North Tulsa that became Northeast Campus. You may have heard that camp. I've been there for 34 years, so I love the place. So we're business oriented. At least that's a myth that I think is largely true. And finally, we're collaborative with particularly with business. There was a time when we worked very, very closely with American Airlines. We helped set up and staff their Sabre system. Later, Sabre became a large operation that got folded into an online reservation service. That's American Airlines reservation service now. So they called us in the 70s. They called us the MIT of the Southwest. Well, of course, it was hyperbole. It wasn't. There's no truth to that. We're not really the MIT. My God. So, so those are the myths that existed out there that I, as an employee, was able to take advantage of to try and launch this whole idea of sustainability. And plus, we have some espoused values, I think, figured into this as well. Excellence, diversity, and stewardship in particular. So excellence, I know my full-time faculty colleagues and part-time adjunct faculty colleagues try to give students an experience that's equivalent to what they get at a four-year institution. And they take pride in that. So they're aspiring to excellence in everything that they do. In terms of diversity, we thought of diversity back in the early 70s a little bit different at community college. We thought of diversity in terms of attracting non-traditional students. We had a lot of them here. We had a lot of Vietnam vets. We had a lot of folks who kind of, tuned out but maybe turned on, those kind of folks. And so they became this core group of non-traditional students who were sort of the backbone of TCC at the time. And a group of them gathered one time. The president asked them if, what colors would they like for the school to adopt? And their response was immediate: black and blue, because of all the life experience that they had over time. So, then the whole stewardship issue is one that folds nicely into sustainability, because we try to be excellent stewards of all the resources that we get. We care for taxpayer money. We maintain our buildings. We, take care of our students well, and faculty and staff well. So values are important in what got launched, and shared norms and assumptions. We have this idea that it's common for a common norm for every faculty and staff to think this way, that we are a social change operation, that we're also adaptable as a community college, and that also plays into the whole idea of being able to adopt initiative like sustainability. So myths, the espoused values, and shared assumptions, those all play into what happened here. And how I got involved was I started the 90s with recycling at our campus, and I was sort of a lone voice out there trying to get this launched. Finally, we got to a point where there's enough interest in sustainability, recycling, green living. We're able to do something called EcoFest. Some of you may have heard of it. We are our 11th iteration of it, coming up later in April. And from that, we were not really walking the talk. We're just talking, and we would have this wonderful Saturday event in the early spring, and we'd invite green practitioners to our campus and invite the community to join us. They could hear all about green living and sustainable living. But we were not doing it. So I'm thinking, how can we get to a point where we are actually walking the talk? And I knew about A-She Stars. You heard Megan talk about it today. But if you go online and look at it, it's a very complex operation and very technical in its requirements. I knew we weren't there yet. So this is back in 2013, 2014. How do we get there? Finally, I went to a First Thursday where Cory's talking about Scorecard. It's heaven sent. This is the bridge to stars. So we did. We got into the pilot program in 2016, and then we graduated to the full program, all four campuses. 2017, 2018, achieved gold status both years. We're trying to get to platinum. I don't know if we're going to make it. It's a long haul to get to platinum, but I think it's out there. So, and what do we want? What do we want to do? We really want to get to stars, as Megan was talking about today, because those are our people, as they say. We know that's international college universities where we want to be. And so, message today is use what's available, and these values, the assumptions, the myths, they're all there for you in whatever organization you're at. So thank you.
And I think that video for TCC is on your website, if people wondered that. Okay, great. Okay, and now we have, let's see, there we go. We have Angie Williams. She is with TU, and she's going to tell you her journey and what they're doing there at TU. So welcome. Welcome, Angie.
Hello, I'm Angie. I'm a graduate assistant at the University of Tulsa. I was going to start about me, learn about me. I'm native of Broken Arrow. I moved away for 10 years, came back 2 years ago now. I'm trained as a teacher, so I spent about 5 years in education, teaching in middle school through high school, and then adults as well. And now I'm back at the University of Tulsa as a graduate student in museum science and management. So I'm going to take that education and then put it into museums instead of in schools. And my passion for sustainability. So I had always been interested in sustainability. I've had children. I kind of went the backwards way, had children, then went to school. And so whenever I had my children, I was into cloth diapering and making your own baby food, and then recycling and composting and all of those things that encompass sustainability in child rearing. And then I moved into my graduate assistantship at the University of Tulsa, which is in sustainability. And that kind of opened my eyes to the rest of the world of sustainability. So the facilities and the business side, and that really grew whenever I joined the Scorecard. My main responsibility at the University of Tulsa, other than sustainability culture and education, is completing the Scorecard for the university. So some of the things that we have done, this was a couple years ago before I joined, but we have a school group called Students for Sustainability, and they go through initiatives. Our posters over there, if you want to look at it later, if you haven't seen it this morning, we have a wonderful president named Jeremy Garrison. They go through initiatives trying to create a more sustainable university. This is our symbol, and this is a group of students who were doing a green team at one of the basketball games, or actually it was a football game. One of the initiatives that we achieved at the university is going trailless. So the students banded together and decided they wanted to go trailless. So now in the cafeterias, they no longer have plastic trays, the styrofoam trays. That's what we mean by going trayless. And so now they have regulars, and they no longer have disposable supplies in our cafeterias. Another program that we do that we actually won a Bellman Award for was the Yellow Bike program, which we call TURN, TU Rider Network. These are free for students to check out and use for the entire year on campus or off campus. They can take them wherever they want, and they have to return them at the end of the year, but they are free to use, and there are bike racks around campus. So it helps students who may be on campus but want to do things around the community, so they don't have to call an Uber or drive. They can use their bikes and drive to areas that are around the university. And on campus too, but it's such a small campus you could walk. We also planted, we have 3 Monarch way stations. 2 of them are on the University of Tulsa campus, and then one of them is on Gilcrease, the Gilcrease grounds, which is managed by the University of Tulsa. This is actually a picture from from fall of our way station with a Monarch. So these are some of the things that I've discovered through being a part of the Scorecard program that I had not known about. So at the University of Tulsa, all of our cleaning products must be Green Seal certified. And something that I did not know about was soil entropy, which was super fascinating, and I think it's just amazing. The sprinkler system it measures the soil moisture so that it doesn't waste water. So if it's been raining a lot and there's a lot of moisture in the soil, then the sprinkler system doesn't run. And then if it is drier, then it will run. TU also uses a Medicis building automation system from Johnson Controls. I don't know much about that, but I do know that it connects all of our systems together and allows the physical plant team to see the energy usage in real time. And it also has alerts for when something is off. So it sets what is it called? Thresholds. It sets thresholds for the use of energy, and then it gives alerts if it exceeds that threshold, so someone can then go in there and find the issue. And then we have motion sensor lights in a majority of the buildings, and then when they renovate anything, they will put new ones in there, put them in. And some of our windows have a treatment, not like window treatments like blinds, but window treatments on the windows that block the UV light rays, so it allows the light to come in, but does not increase the heat in the room. I thought that was really interesting. And so some more things I've discovered within our facilities through doing the scorecard. The air systems at the university are on what's called a summer-winter changeover. So that gradually changes the building temperature by 4 degrees from 70 to 74, depending on whether it's in summer mode or winter mode. So then the facilities managers can just go in there and just change the mode. It could be even auto set because it's on a calendar time. And then during that time, it automatically keeps it within a range so that it helps reduce the waste. And then to cool the building in the winter, which I thought was fascinating, the TU uses an economizer system, which opens dampers to let cool air in. So if your buildings are too warm due to heating in the winter, instead of putting on air conditioner, which you would think you might have to do, they'll open dampeners, and so it will cool the buildings. TU also uses a variable speed demand for their fans. So every day at 2 p.m., it lowers to 75% power for their fans, which helps save energy during that peak time of day. And then we also have, in addition to our initiative that's going on right now, TU has solar panels on the tennis center. That's a partnership with PSO. So PSO owns the solar panels, and then we use a portion of that as our electric. So the whole building is powered by those solar panels. So also from participation in this scorecard program, I have gained a larger comprehensive nature of sustainability. So going from my narrow view of sustainability, I've grown into this wide knowledge of sustainability. And I also learned about the triple bottom line. I did not know about that before joining Sustainable Tulsa, and I find it very good. Because before I had seen planet side, basically. And so then pulling in the people and then the profit, it really gives a full comprehensive overview. I also learned about the simple things. So going through a building and seeing the very simple things like LED lights that are saving energy is fascinating. And I've connected with new resources across the city and the state as a whole, which is very beneficial. And then I've just had an overall awareness of sustainability. And learned to be 100% engaged, which in that I define that as being aware everywhere you are. So if you walk into a building, now I kind of notice everything. I'm like, oh, that's good, that's not good. And so you're just kind of 100% engaged in sustainability awareness everywhere you go. And I've gained a lot of opportunities from this position. On campus, I am a part of the committee for sustainability and then student groups as well. I come to conferences like this. I go to First Thursdays. We host B2Bs at TU. I'm the representation for a lot of that. And then I'm also more prepared and proactive to lead sustainability efforts in the future. So my future goals will be to work in a museum, and I'm already set that I would go there and try to form sustainability committees if they don't have one, and try to convince them to advance their efforts in that way. Also, I've joined as a scorecard coach. I didn't have that on there, but I am graduating in May, so I will no longer be an official member. So I decided to extend that by becoming a scorecard coach. And with coaches, they work with other businesses to help them succeed on the scorecard. And then I just like this quote. Being green is more than just buying eco, it's an unshakable commitment to a sustainable lifestyle. So that goes into 100% engaged. You're just committing yourself 100% everywhere in your life, not just I'm gonna buy those eco products or I'm gonna recycle. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We have just a little bit of time, I think, to take a couple questions. Is that okay, Mike? So are there any questions for our panelists regarding their efforts and sustainability at their organizations that you have? If I don't see any quick hands, I'm going to ask a question while you're thinking about it. For each of the panelists, my question is, what do you see as the vision that higher ed can play in our overall community's sustainability goals and direction? So from the work that you're doing here, where do you see us in 10 years, what that can provide for our community? So here's the mic.
I can start.
Okay.
Well, a key thing that I think that higher education can play is creating sustainable working adults. So creating that culture of sustainability, then they can then take that into their professional careers in the future and help those businesses be more sustainable. Do you have anything, Mike?
Sorry, I'm not playing with my phone. I'm kind of in charge today, so I'm dealing with things. I was interviewed by the Tulsa World a couple weeks ago. You may have seen the article in the business money, the money section, the money work section, and the interviewer was probing, talking to me about the savings. I mean, I reviewed basically what Dr. Goodson had talked about and what Sean Wines talked about in the video. I also said to him that our real impact will be in the classroom. Faculty changing minds, changing attitudes about humans' relationship with nature. That's the main focus of what we need to be doing as higher education entities across the state in terms of promoting sustainability. Yes, it's great to save money. Yes, it's great to recycle. Yes, it's great to be conserving water. But the real thrust of what we do, our main mission is education, and for sustainability, no matter what the discipline, we need to be convincing folks who come to our classrooms that we now have to have a different relationship as humans with the natural environment. We're not separate from it, we are a part of it.
pretty much covered.
Okay. Are there any questions from the audience about their sustainability efforts? That just a burning question you have? Yes.
Question for David. Even those big, huge water heaters, do you recycle those, or what? When you're switching to the greener systems, what do you do with the old systems?
It's a great question. And actually we did. We used a salvage company that actually had to come in and cut those out. And that was part of the savings of having them removed was the scrap metal. We've done that with chillers and basically any kind of equipment that gets decommissioned is recycled.
Mike, is it lunchtime? I'm asking you from your other hat. Is it lunchtime or?
I think it is lunchtime.
Okay. All right. Thank you all so much. Let's give them a round of applause.